Well, as the thumbnail asks, has golf become too easy?
Are you continually on the lookout for new gear to improve your score? Why wouldn't you be when everybody else seems to be doing just that?
Are we guilty of wanting golf to be too easy? So today I want to look at a few things. Firstly, have we become obsessed with buying equipment to try and make us score better? Drivers and irons that hit the ball further and straighter and are more forgiving? Putters with heads so stable that you're guaranteed not to hit the ball offline almost? And balls that fly further with little spin to take them offline? At what point does assistance offered by your equipment become too much? Golf has always been a hard game. Nobody's ever mastered it. That's one of its attractions. But today we seem to be putting more and more effort into improving equipment rather than improving ourselves. Are we playing the equivalent of 10-pin bowling with ball ramps and the bumpers up? And what are these equipment gains that I'm talking about? There's been a huge increase in driver head size. Yeah, starting at the top of the bag. Over the last 40 years, the driver has gone from being one of the most difficult clubs to hit to one of the easiest. A huge head size gives us more forgiveness, which enables us to have a longer shaft, generating a higher club head speed, so we can hit the ball further and straighter. A good drive for a professional in the 1960s was about 250 to 275 yards. With modern equipment, a decent club golfer can achieve those distances on a good strike these days, and the better players will be looking to push towards 300 on a good strike. We've seen many changes in irons: perimeter weighting, heel and toe weighting, multi-materials, hop faces. Irons are the area where we've perhaps seen the least improvement, but there's no doubt that the multi-material irons of today hit the ball further and straighter than blades of 40 or 50 years ago. In any event, hybrids have taken the place of longer irons for most players of today, and there's no doubt that they're easier to hit. Large-headed putters, which are extremely stable through the stroke. Putters have gone from clubs that didn't look that different to a long iron through to heel and toe weighting, such as the Ping Answer, to today's high MOI, zero torque putters that must be doing something right, as they're starting to be seen in the bags of many professionals. The humble golf ball. It now travels a lot further, it spins less and therefore flies straighter. Are we now looking for equipment to make improvements rather than actually improving ourselves? Golf magazines, social media, YouTube, they're all full of adverts for equipment that'll make us play better, right down to things like shoes, gloves, even tees. And should we really be trying to buy a game, or should we be trying to improve ourselves as golfers, actually practicing and putting in the hard hours, learning how to correct that slice rather than buying a club that will do it for us? If we buy a new club that promises to hit the ball further and straighter, and we reduce our scores by a couple of shots, have we improved as a golfer? Or have we just used the ball ramp and the bumper bars that we mentioned earlier? The simplest and cheapest way to reduce scores would be to play shorter courses, and that would also reduce the time it takes to play around. Pace of play is something that most golfers complain about. But golfers are a funny breed, and they like to play from the furthest tees possible. As golfers, we're on the receiving end of so much mumbo-jumbo from the marketing departments of the manufacturers, how we can improve this and that we feel we have to buy in or miss out. We're caught like rabbits in the headlights. But I asked earlier, how much help from a club would you be willing to accept? A driver that went twice as far as your existing one?
Pow! Wham! Boo! Boo, baby! It's hammer time.
Irons that always hit the green? A putter that always one-putted? Or why not combine all three of those things and have a golf club that will hit the ball all the way to the green and straight into the hole, so that you score a hole-in-one on every hole? Surely that's taking the challenge out of the game. So the question is, where should we set the limit as far as equipment goes? Anyone who watches the channel a lot will know that my view is that the golden era for golf was when drivers were limited by their very nature to about 190cc. So I'm talking about wooden-headed woods, 190cc, standard irons. They don't have to be blades, just a single piece of metal, and ordinary putters. People say, but I can't play with those sort of clubs. But I think if people just gave them a try, they'd be surprised at how well they can score with them. I mean, I'm just an average old golfer, and I managed to maintain an index of around 10 or 12, playing a different set of these sort of clubs every week. It's easier than you would think, let's just say that. But let's just stop here for a second and ask how much assistance these high technology clubs and equipment are actually giving us. Speaking from my own experience, I would say that a modern driver would give about 30 to 40 yards gain over a persimmon-headed driver. Hybrids are a completely different beast to anything that existed previously, and seem to be hitting the ball further and further with every year that passes. Irons, the larger size and the perimeter weighting definitely gives an advantage, and the hot faces help too. And putters, I've only had experience of a spider type putter, not one of the new zero torque lab putters for instance, but I did find that was very stable. If we add up all these club advances then, what sort of a benefit does it give us in terms of a handicap? I think it probably depends on your handicap level, and the higher handicap you are, the bigger the difference will be. But speaking for myself, I think it'll be somewhere around 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 shots at most in a round. And the ball. There's no doubt that with the introduction of the Pro V1 and Bridgestone and similar balls about 25 years ago, that distances jumped to a large degree, and it's pretty much accepted now that especially in the professional game, distance has become a bit of a problem, and they are looking at addressing that, although not as severely enough in my opinion. I'm going to finish by asking, where does all this game improvement equipment get us at the end of the day? And by game improvement equipment, I mean anything that helps us to score or play better. It doesn't have to just be great big chunky irons, it could be any part of the game that I've been talking about. As handicap golfers, our handicap equals the sum of a number of components. Our skill level, our ability level, our age and how fit and strong we are, but also the equipment we use. So add those together and we'll come up with a handicap, and we should be able to play consistently to that handicap and be competitive. If one of those things is below average, then our handicap will rise a little bit, but we'll still end up with a handicap that enables us to play competitively. So there we go. I think on that note we'll finish, but before we do, I thought just to show how the equipment affects us, I'm going to make my next video playing with this set of irons from the 1930s. It's not even a full set. Let's have a quick look at those. We'll start with the woods as usual. I think I've possibly featured these before. The 1930s early steel shafted clubs. You can see the professional's name there, the Gordon Lockhart, and on the sole we've just got a single slip plate on this one, which would give us a clue that it's the driver. So let's just get the other one over, which is the brassy or the spoon. Again, it's just got a P mark on the bottom, so I'm not sure what that stands for. But we do have a better label on this one, and we can see that it's True Temper step down steel shaft. In fact, I think I featured this club on the video I did about True Temper shafts, and the flex on it is whippy. That might mean it was a ladies club, or it could just mean that it was a whippy shaft, because whippy shafts were quite popular at this time. Yeah, there we go. Cross cut face, no insert, with a nice white paint finish, which I think would be the original. Two nice woods there. Now let's have a look at the irons. Here are the irons then. I was recently given these by a good friend. It's not a full set unfortunately, but that will suit the concept of this video, which is to show how a golfer can get round with seemingly a very difficult playing set. What we have here is 2, 3, 4, 7 and 8. I'll bring the lofts up for the clubs at the end of the video. But if we just take a look at one of these, you can see there that it is the famous Tom Stewart makers of St Andrews. We've got the Tom Stewart cleat mark there, TSTA St Andrews trademark, hand forged in Scotland and stainless. And these are pretty much straight out of the hickory era as far as the design goes. It's a very slight muscle back design, or a bevel back design, whatever you want to call it. I'd call it an early muscle back myself. But the hosel, rather than being the more flared hosel suitable for a hickory shaft, is a lot narrower to take a steel shaft. We do have black ferrule on there. The shafts themselves, I can't find a label on any of them, but they are straight shafts. They're not step down, they're just a taper. So I think these would be by Ackles and Pollock, pretty sure of that. The grips, they do look original. They're all the same on all the clubs here, but a wooden butt cap there, nice original leather grips with a bit of whipping. We'll just have a look at the 8 iron. This is the most lofted club in the set. All the clubs are dot face. You can see this is quite a large face. I've got a golf ball here. I'll try and get one of those to show that compared to the club. So there we go. There's a golf ball to compare with the club. You can see it is quite a large face, very thin sole on all of the clubs. That's the 8 iron and this is the 2 iron. So they are what you would term proper butter knives. That's the irons then. Right, let's finish off with a look at the putter. Keep the irons on the table, I might as well. This is a patent putter. I've chosen this one because it's the complete opposite to thinking today, in that all of the weight is centred in the middle of the putter rather than perimeter or side weighting as we see now. So we can see there's no weighting at the edges, but a great big chunk of metal in the middle there. This will be called a diamond back style. We do have a patent number there, or a provisional patent, 15589, and a registered design number. Rustless, that's a stainless steel club, and there we have the name of the club, which is Hammy. Now, I think this is probably by JB Halley. It looks a similar font to that they used, well, it doesn't actually say JB Halley on the club. The face of the club, again, it's a dot face club, quite a long head. But I've put a mark on here because the sweet spot isn't where at first thoughts you might think it would be, which would be right in line with the centre of the diamond back. It's actually closer to the hosel because of the weight we've got in the hosel there. So the sweet spot moves slightly towards the heel of the club. So that's the putter. Nice little red banded ferrule there. And the grip, similar to the Tom Stewart irons. So that completes the clubs.
One thing I forgot to mention when reviewing the putter was that the face is actually onset rather than being slightly offset, which is the norm for putters of this date. Quite off-putting to me. Let's take a look at the lofts then to summarise the clubs. The driver is only 8 degrees, which is fairly typical of the time. The brassy or spoon is 18 degrees. The irons actually progress quite nicely, 4 or 5 degree steps, and if we had the 2 missing irons, the 5 and the 6, then it will make a nice progression down to the 8 iron. Well, that's it. I hope you'll join me in part 2, where I try and put these clubs to the test and play to my handicap. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!